Hello, this is Paola Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pao, and I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and Her Network on Zingo TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the respective app store. The app is totally free while you download it. Please leave a comment, rate it because feedback is important to us. You can find Zingo TV on Google Chromecast, on Amazon Fire TV sticks, on Roku sticks, and all smart TVs from 2016 forward. Thank you all for being here today. I welcome my friend Jana Antoni. She is a life coach, she's a keynote speaker, and she is someone that is very dear to my heart. So thank you for being here, Jana. I welcome you.
Thank you, Paola, to you.
So please share with us a little bit about you so that we get to know you more.
Yeah, so my name is Jana Antoni. I am based in Switzerland, actually, so in Europe. So it's now 6 p.m.
Ah,
And I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, and a speaker. I help women, especially women, struggling with challenging emotions. Them with lost identity, they are stuck there with lower self-esteem. It can also come anxiety feeling or depression, whatever it's challenging right now, and just feeling stuck. So I use the neuroencoding method and the method of Dr. Daniel Amen, coupled with a little bit spiritual aspects of healing to help them mostly assassinate their limiting beliefs, to transform the negative thinking spiral to confidence, inspiration, and mostly joy and playfulness in their life. And
that's
I'm a
awesome.
former teacher.
Yes, you are a formal teacher. How many years did you teach?
Over than 15 years in different levels. So I started at teaching university students foreign language, and I went then to college, 15 to 18, 19, something like that. And then I did my second diploma for teaching the little one at primary schools from the age of 6 to 12. So I can teach every level, basically.
Wow, wow. So how do you find your passion, your purpose to coach others?
Oh, that was a journey. I
Huh.
had someone could call it breakdown, and actually it was a breakdown. It's lots of stuff happening in my personal life, in my health as well, and it affected also a professional life. So all of a sudden, my whole world like broke like a house of the cards. And I found myself down, and I had to ask myself first question, who am I, and what do I want? And I went to the question, the purpose of my life, and the journey has started at the point that my life before broke down. And I just meditate a lot and traveled, not to discover countries, but to discover myself, actually. And that's how it happened. I discovered myself and what did I want. And that's how where I am now and what I'm doing now. And it's great.
Oh, well, I find it fascinating how you have the strategies and tools to help other people, go from being stuck or thinking that there is no way out to help them see that there is light on the other side, that the sun is shining on the other side of the situation or the life stage at that time. So it's fascinating. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, the
Uh,
thing is actually when you are stuck, you don't see the way out. Everybody is telling you, yeah, wait couple months, couple years, and you will see everything will pass. But when you are in the moment, in the hole, you don't really believe in what everybody is saying. So
Why? Like, is it is you- is a person too deep down within that situation, reliving
yeah,
the
you are
situation?
too, yeah, you are really in your stuff, you know, you don't see 5 centimeters and you are in US. I don't know what measurement you are using.
In
uh,
inches,
Inches.
inches.
Okay. So when you are in your situation, in your thoughts, in your despair, in anguish, you don't really see like really 5 inches ahead of you or beside you. You are just in it. And actually, what I found is the best way is to go even deeper in it, that you can go out.
Oh wow. You have to experience deeper pain in order for you to get out.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that makes, yeah.
And you get help. That's what helped me as well. I seeked help, and that's the clue. That's the first step, actually. You know.
Yes. I want to stop for a minute and tell our audience, because I just had an aha moment. What she means is that you have to feel deeper pain in order for you to realize that you don't want to be there. In order for you to see, I don't want to be here, 5 years from now. I don't want to be here, 10 years from now. I need to get out now.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes we escape from pain. That's our brain. Our brain, we're
That's the
wired
human
to
nature. Yes, that's the
human.
human nature. As soon as we, that's the human nature. We feel a little bit pain, and our first reaction is to escape from it. To flight, fight or
Yes,
flight, fight or flight syndrome. That's normal. That's normal.
because our brain's trying to keep you safe, as
Yes,
in, keep it, just play it this way, so that we keep you alive. That's the job of our brain, is to keep us alive. So in
yes,
order to do that, is like it's going to keep you safe. So sometimes we have to be clever than our brain and our old programming, and seeing that sometimes we have to experience a little bit more pain in order for us to decide this is too much. It's like, I'm out.
yes.
It's like there is a better way.
And if you go deeper, you can actually, you will see what triggers you, and you can do some repair. But if you are keeping to escape from it, you will never repair. And your trigger, they are coming along your way the whole life. And every time the trigger is coming, you feel that way and you fly away again. But you never heal, you never change your pattern unless you dig really deeper, unless you stay in that pain and look, okay, what is the trigger? What is that it's so painful for me? And how can I change it? There is your chance. You can do the changes. But if you don't stay there, if you keep flying away, you can never do that. The
That's
situation will
beautiful.
be.
Yes. Okay, let's stop for just a second. So awareness, yes, awareness is a beautiful thing. If you're listening to us right now, if you need this message, it's like awareness is beautiful, because then you realize what's triggering you. You know what? Why am I acting this way? Why am I feeling this way? What's triggering it? Because whenever we know what triggers it, then you can question it, and then you can be, you begin to analyze. Is this serving me? Is it truly who I want to be? The way I'm behaving. So you can work with that trigger, and I
Yeah.
think that's that's beautiful. Is like, if we could all learn to figure out, well, why did I behave this way? Why is this triggering? It could be a thought, could be a song, could be you seeing someone or a scene on TV that brings you back memories. And
Exactly. But if you don't know what it is, you can't make change. You can't change something you don't know about. You know?
yes, yes. So awareness is beautiful, and questioning it is like, why, what triggered me? because it could be a layer of things, right? That is, you're piling things through the day, and then it's just like that one thing that allow everything to crumble.
Yes.
That it started probably at 7 a.m. in the morning, and then you just reacted, way in the evening. But then
Yeah.
knowing,
And the triggers can be small. My first trigger is my alarm in the morning. I used to, as soon as my alarm went on, I used to just to snooze it, and go for 5 minutes, and then I snooze it again, and then I snooze it again, and the trigger is actually the alarm going. So when I find it out, because I didn't know that was the alarm. So when I figured out that's alarm, I can put instead something else in place. So I really get up without snoozing the alarm.
yeah, yes. On one of your speeches, you talk about labeling. How whenever you're a child, if you're a label often, especially the same label, how does that affect you, that label in your adulthood?
Well, I would say pretty significantly. As everybody knows, or most people knows, what you acquire in your childhood, it's your brain is more receptive for everything you learn in your childhood, for everything you see, for everything you've been told. And if there is on constant basis, like from teachers, families, etc., telling you who you are, how you should behave, that will get into your unconscious mind. And what most people don't know is that you run on 90% from your unconscious mind. 90%. And now I have, as I was working on my last speech, I saw even a study 95%. That means that in 95%, you don't have control about your emotions, your feelings, what you are doing, your activity, because unconscious mind is involved in your feelings, your thoughts, even your beliefs and your values, everything. And that's how it, in daily basis, repeatedly, over and over again, it goes in your unconscious mind. So everything you hear, you experience in your childhood, you take it with it's in your brain, in this unconscious part of your brain, and you can't influence it. You have no control of it. Now the question is, can you change it? Can you change the pattern you have established already when you were 5, 6 years old? Can you change the feelings you have? Can you change the thought you have on daily basis, like even for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years?
Yes,
And
I mean, yes, I mean, because I know now, because I know, based on neuroscience and brain health, it's like I know that yeah, we can change that. It's our choice though, but yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, what was one of your labelings that you had to work through?
It's very funny because as I was working on my last speech, I discovered by speaking to other people that all of them, or saying 90% of my clients, have the same belief. And it's the belief not being enough, not being worthy. And teachers told me, and it can't, it's not that people told you are not enough. It's not that. There are situation experiences, other things they may tell you that make you feel that you are not worthy or enough. In my situation, it was, for example, I have many stories, but if I should pick one, is when I was in the kindergarten, and you know the story already for my speech. I was 5 years old, and we were playing outside on the yeah, on the playground, and I wanted very much play with a scooter. And I didn't have on my own at home because my parents were poor. And in the kindergarten, there were only three of them. So as soon as they let us run out from the building, I wanted, I just hurried to take one. And the teacher stopped me and said to me, "No, you can't play with that. That's for other children." It were always the same, like 5 children, always the same. They can play with it, and then handed me a shovel and told me it will be the only thing you would do in your life anyway, so there no trouble to take the fancy stuff. And in the brain of a 5 years old, you are like, what's happening? You are asking, why are you telling that? And why can't you play with the toy you wanted? And why always the same children gets the best toys and you never? And you, even if with your child brain you can't understand why, the feeling is already inside of you, the feeling that, okay, I am not as good enough as the other children, I am not as beautiful enough, I am not as brave enough, I'm not behaving as good as they are. You are just comparing, and you are thinking about yourself that you are not at the same level as the other children because of your experiences. And people can have different experiences, of course, but mostly it goes to this core belief that we are not enough.
Yes. Thanks for sharing your story. Because, can you imagine? I mean, it tracks you down all the way to adulthood. And somewhere in there is like, if there's opportunity approaches, you might think, well, I'm not good enough. Like I've heard it many times. And it gets recorded in your unconscious mind. So that's where our self-doubt comes in. That's where fear of rejection, fear of failing, there's a lot of psychological aspects that we stop ourselves. We
Yes.
allow it because we heard it many, many times.
Yeah.
So it's good.
This is it.
We
The
yes,
repetition. You hear it over and over and over again. And
yes. So for any parents out there, let's be careful how we're talking to our children, and how other people are talking to our children as well, so that we can reinforce uh, some of those limiting beliefs that they might be thinking of themselves, because it's like it's happening, like Jana was sharing. She was only 5,
yeah.
and I know it affected you even in your adulthood, because
Yes.
you have 2 beautiful degrees. And I mean, you were telling me that you never celebrated yourself for
No.
it, because it was just 2 degrees.
Yeah, another check on the list. I had to prove to everyone that I am enough, that I have the guts and I'm smart enough to have 2 university degrees. So as I proved that I'm enough, I was seeking another level, because I continue to compare myself to other people that I thought in my eyes they are better than me because they have higher degrees than me. It started like that,
Hmm.
and just keep going. Nothing, you know. As soon as you are not aware of it, what's the issue, and you don't learn how to appreciate yourself and love yourself, you will always be seeking something better. You always be comparing yourself to better people in your eyes, to more successful people, etc. And you will always have this drive of and I forgot now the name of the achievers, you know always achieve something, and as soon as you check it from your list, you add another one. You don't have even time or appreciation to celebrate it, and you get, okay, what's next you know
Yes, being kind to ourselves, because we work for it. It's like we're like, next, what's next, instead of like breathing and analyzing what we just did, what we just finished, we accomplished. And, because you're teaching your brain to do more of it whenever we learn to celebrate ourselves and do it with love, right? Instead of like just doing it for significance or because we want to show other people uh, what we're capable of, right? So, yes, thanks for sharing that. How was it like living in a communist country? Because I know that also play a role in your childhood.
Yes, yes. Well, my parents weren't in the party, so that's why I started be bullied by teachers and uh, by other kids as well. It was the system, everybody who was not playing by the game with the communists. Uh, they had to be in some way punished. And it has started also, not only them, but also generations and all relatives. So they had a system starting in the kindergarten when you are 3, 4, 5 years old. As I said, it's just advising or putting you where very clear where is your place, starting to get into your mind. It was lots of brainwashing, slowly but very effective. And yeah, it was shortage of everything. We did the even fruits. Like, it was shortage of fruits every time we had the oranges. Remember oranges were like once a year or something like that, because it was never never available. I Fortunately, I didn't live in a communist as some teenager or and adults. By my parents and my sister did, and you can't travel. You can't. There's really no freedom of the word. You can't really say what you mean, and this was what I remember as a child in a school. This was this education that this. We were taught that you are not allowed to speak unless you are asked something. You are not allowed to have your opinion. Only memorizing what they taught us. You are not allowed to learn something that's not official. If you learn something that's not official, it was forbidden, and you could go to prison for it, or they told you it's a lie, etc. So
Mm.
this, I think, it was the most damaging part. That you elevate generation of children that are forbidden to have their own thinking, critical thinking. It was nothing that you have to fear, the fear to speak loud, because otherwise you are punished or you are laughed at. I think that was the most damage, because you got to the brain of people.
Mm. Well, I'm glad that you're able to travel now and you're able to share your thoughts. And I am glad you're able to help others heal, just the
Yeah.
way you've learned how to heal. So that's amazing. Thanks for sharing this. Because we need that contrast in our life. Like we need to know that we haven't had it. Not everybody has had it that easy. That
Yes.
there are others have had to sacrifice because
Yes.
of the place that they were born. So thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. Now, how were you able to overcome this very hard time in your life, a very hard stage in your life? I know in your speech you talk about uh, your husband asked for divorce, Whenever that happened, friends disappear. At the same time, you lost your job and cancer came back.
Mhm.
Could
Yes.
you share with us, for anybody out there in the audience that is having a hard time, because this was, a very important time in your life, and you learn to heal, you learn to uh, gain the strategies and techniques and practice and practice and practice, practice them until now you're able to share your story.
Yes. Yes, it was a tough time, and this was actually my transformation. And at the beginning, as I said at the beginning, you are so stuck in these emotions and these um, experiences that are happening in your life that you can't really see the light, and you go even deeper in this despair and hopelessness. And the COVID was on the rise, just started. And so the social isolation was even bigger. So that I lost my friends, but I didn't have the chance to make another one because everybody had to stay at home or walking outside with the mask. So yeah, well, everybody handled this differently. I already knew because of my experiences from the past. As you said, I had a cancer, that I seek a help. Of course, the first step I took is to take a therapist, and that they all wanted to put me on meds. And because of my history with cancer, I just didn't want to. I just internally knew there must be something else, something better than put chemicals and toxins into my body, because I knew it's not a something I couldn't try, at least try on my own. And what I did at first is what helped me, and again, this is personal stuff, so not everybody can could be would be comfortable with it. But I did a lot of meditation, several hours per day. It helped me a lot. I I felt that I had to leave the place. That the place were too much emotional for me at that time. So I had to leave. So I rented my apartment and went to travel. And as I said, not for discovering countries, but really to discover myself. So, and it was a COVID time, so actually bad on traveling, but I still went travel. So don't believe everything the government says to you. It's possible or not. Everything is possible if you want to do it. And um I put myself actually after that on purpose to stay alone, stay with my emotions, ask myself, why am I feeling so much pain? What is the thing? And as I said, I had really coaches. I have several coaches. I have therapists, and that would help me. They ask me the right questions, so I can really do some retrospection and do really dig what is it all about. And with these right questions, I could move forward, and then the universe sent Tony Robbins into my way. And that the transformation started to happening at that time. So everybody is different. I wanted a healthier lifestyle, so I started also eat differently. And my gosh, changes already when you eat differently, your brain starts functioning differently. It's already there. The changes are already there. And to have really people asking the right questions and to stay with it, to stay in it, to dig into it and get this help. And that's what helped me and started my new whole journey.
And you didn't give up.
Yes.
It's like you didn't give up. You continue, even with the pain.
Well,
Because
I thought I wanted to give up every day. It was really a time, and now I share very something personal. It was really a time I prayed every evening to not wake up in the morning, because the pain was so deep that I really prayed to just die, to be able to die. That's the pain is so horrible that I can't really take it anymore, bear it anymore. And I have almost died twice in my life. I was so like 2% close to death. And I asked myself, there must be a reason why I'm still here, you know? And that's it. So I just kept asking me this question, and the why question is actually, it's not the right one. Why is the endless loop, you have to transform it into how. So how can I make my life better, to live my purpose, to live, to give my life a meaning?
And I want to clarify what she said about the why, the ending loop. Sometimes I know I've been there. So whenever we say, well, why me and why I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and it's like, why is it not going through? And why? And we get trapped into the why, like why things are not happening like the way we want them to. Why? So we get trapped in that. And what Jana is saying is like, well, begin to ask how. It's like, how is a different way to get out of here? How can we do this differently, or to see if we get a different result? So just be aware if you find yourself in a why loop. Well, why this and why that and why? What is no serving you, but you're complaining. I've been there. You're not alone. Then like if you're aware of what you're in that loop, so begin to ask a different question. It's like, well, how can I do it differently now to see if I get a different result? So thanks for sharing that why loop. Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
for the clarification.
So I mean, we all need contrast in our life. Our children, this new generation, needs contrast to know what it was like before, for them to know that, oh, they have way more benefits now based on technology, based on, they don't have to go to the library and study anymore, they can do it from home. So we as adults, I believe, truly believe that we need to listen to stories like yours, like your story, in order for us to have that contrast and analyze and wake up a little bit, because we're so habitual beings that we do things out of habit that sometimes we forget because we get trapped into our routine. But I believe, like stories like you, people that might be going through a divorce, people that are dealing with loneliness and they can't find their way out, people that are dealing with health issues, but whenever they see your story, that everything, I mean, it's like one thing happening and it was like a cascade of challenges came your way. If they learn to see, oh wow, it's like she survived, she did it, then there is a way for me to do it. So that I'd love for, I love to listen to your speeches. I love to listen to your stories, because we learn, like you bring contrast to our life and things. I mean, I appreciate you so much for sharing. I know today is a big step for you to be sharing it live.
Yes, that's definitely is. Yes. Yes, so far
So
I've been sharing my stories only in the close communities, thing like that. Yes.
Yes. It's like, so today I celebrate you. And because like I said, I truly believe we as adults also believe the contrast in our lives to, like, okay, how can I appreciate my life a little bit more? So thank you for doing that. On your speech, you also talk about, sometimes we get lost between the need of feeling loved, being accepted, and the fear of being rejected. Could
Yes.
you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, they are very highly correlated together. This is the number one, the fear number one of human beings is being rejected. Because we are, what differentiates us as human beings from animals and is that we need to be seen, we need to be known, and we need to be loved. We are wired for connections. Life for human beings, life is about connections. As soon as we lose this connection, we are miserable. And this is the fear. Losing connection is actually the fear of rejection. If you are rejected, you lose this connection, you won't. And the love, this is a funny thing that I have learned on my own and on a hard way, is and is again is aligned with the feeling of self worth, with the worthiness. Because we often, what happened in my life, I was a pleaser. I always seek a life from outer world, from others, from my family, husband, my ex-husband, my friends, colleagues, etc. So I was able to, how do I say that? I was able to behave differently that I wouldn't in my core. I didn't say think, I thought, because I didn't want that they will reject me. I wanted that they will like me. So I said and did everything they wanted from me to say and do. This is typical pleaser, right? And the thing is, after that, I lost all this love, because why? Because I wasn't myself. I was everything they wanted from me, but myself. Because I didn't love myself. And this is all about, actually. And I know what I'm saying, that for many people, is it a hard thing? For me, it was at the beginning, as I started, it was almost impossible. I wasn't able to say to myself, I love you. I love myself. I couldn't even pronounce the words. But you can't give something you don't own. You can't give somebody a car if you don't have a car. You can't give somebody a book if you don't have this book. And with love, it is the same. You can't give and accept also a love if you don't have love for yourself. You can't really appreciate someone if you don't appreciate yourself. And you can't expect that someone will appreciate you if you don't appreciate yourself. And this was a really hard thing to realize for me and to learn it. It was, I think, the hardest stuff I've ever done. But it boils all down to this. It somewhere on the way in our lives, we either lost or never learned how to love ourselves and accept ourselves as we are. And now at the age of adults, with all these expectation from the outer world, with all these stresses, what we need to do and should do and must do, we just forget to pay attention to it. We expect from people always something, we demand always something, and we don't even realize that and I lost my thoughts now. And we don't even stay just here and appreciate the situation, the people as they are. We always expect they do something for us, and we always expect they will appreciate us or what we do for them. But we never ask ourselves, okay, do I appreciate myself as I am? Do I appreciate the other person as she or he is? Really? And if I'm honest with myself, all my past life, it was a no. I was always in this point of expectation to feel the love and recognition from the others. But I didn't recognize and respect myself. So how can I expect from others to do something I can't for myself? You know what I mean? I'm not sure
Yes.
I'm clear on that.
Yes. What Yana, like my understanding, is like sometimes we become people pleasers because we are afraid to be rejected.
Yes.
Like if Yana said, "Hey, let's go eat lunch," especially when you're young, sometimes you lose. Yeah, I'll eat whatever you have, which is because it's easier because I want to get along with you and I want to, build the friendship. Because if I say I want a salad, but she wants a hamburger, because you've heard other people say, "Oh, you want a salad? Are you sure you want a salad?" Then you don't want to be different. you know so it's the fear of being rejected that sometimes we do things out of our authentic, we break our authenticity,
Yes.
and and that's where we begin to lose ourselves, whenever we cannot be real to ourselves because we want to just have a good time, and I want them to accept me and love me, so I'm going to just go with the flow.
Yes, and that's the paradox, and that's the disproportion. You want to feel connected, and yet we aren't connected to ourselves. We want to be unconditional loved, and yet we can't love ourselves unconditionally.
Yeah. Yes, here goes that one of the examples I like to use is that, the probabilities of me being here, of you being here, are 1 in 400 trillion. And it's like whenever you realize that you are a miracle, I am a miracle. It's like I look at her and I'm like, you are a miracle too. Because Yana is here and maybe Juanita could have been here instead of Yana, but our creator chose you to be here. So if I value myself for who, because I am a miracle, God created me, and then I see you, and God created you. But if I learn to be authentic to myself, and
Yes.
and use my, because sometimes, like, because I've been lost in there where it's like you're a good person, you're trying to do good and good and good, but sometimes you go against your integrity, sometimes you go against your gratitude, you go against your love, you go against your faith, you go against,
Your values.
your values, because you just, and it's, you're just trying to be a good person, but it's like, hey, wait a minute, it's like, that doesn't make sense. In reality, you're not being authentic to yourself, and you're breaking some of your values. So let's go back. So it is a beautiful game of life, to find our authenticity, value, others, but never losing our integrity, never losing the love, the gratitude, the faith, the joy. That's just some of my core values that I kind of go back and measure to see if I'm doing the right thing. But thank you for sharing. Let's go to I also want you to cover vulnerability before time runs out. So on your speech, you also talk about vulnerability. So could you help us to embrace vulnerability?
That's the thing. Yes, I love vulnerability. I hated it. Yeah, most people, and me included, uh, most people think that vulnerability is a weakness, and I did as well. Again, because of your experiences, because what may have happened to you in your past, what people may have told you in the past, your teachers, parents, friends, etc. Every time when you in my case, every time when I open my mouth, I was labeled as a dummy, so don't speak up, and I was even punished for it sometimes. So on the way on your life journey, you learn that showing a weakness, showing vulnerability is a weakness, is a shame and guilt, and you can't really show who you are because everybody else will judge you, at least judge you or reject you, and here we are again.
Yes.
Laughed at you, etc. It all boils down to the judgment and rejection. Lose the connection. And this is a funny thing with the vulnerability, because it is also a place of creativity, a place of joy, a place of love. Because vulnerability is authenticity for me. If you are authentic, you are vulnerable. If you are vulnerable, you are authentic, because you share who you are in your core, who you are in your true essence. And for me, vulnerability is the highest level of courage as well, because if you show your vulnerability, your authenticity, you have the courage to own yourself as you are. And this is for me the highest level of what we human can achieve. And I just had an epiphany when I was writing my last speech. It was all about the vulnerability, and if everybody see or feel vulnerability as a weakness, and then you ask them a question, well, what about a person who shared her struggle, pain, difficulties, etc.? Do you really think it is weak? How do you feel actually if the people, they are struggling and they have difficulties, they share even some embarrassing moments even? Do you really judge them? Do you really laugh at them? What do you feel if they share this with you?
I've been there, like sometimes we relate.
You feel this, me too. You feel the connection. And here we are again. This is where the connection is built. As I said, life is all about a connection. We are wired as human beings to create connections. And when you can create connection, it is when you show yourself, when you share this vulnerability. Because when everybody close up, you don't feel connected to someone who is just polite, but you don't really know about his or her life much, because this person doesn't share with you what's happening in their life. Do you feel connected with them with that person? No. You maybe even ask yourself, do I really know this person? Because I know so little. This person shares so little with me about her or his life. It's only when the people open up, only when the people share, only when the people show their vulnerability, that they are human, they have all difficulties and all fears and all struggles. And when they share it, you can say me too. That's why the Me Too movement, you remember this Me Too women in USA? That's exactly why this movement was so powerful, because one woman had the courage to step out and shared what happened to her. She was vulnerable because she said it out loud in public. And what does she done? She gave the permission to other women to do the same. And suddenly it was an avalanche, and the changes could happen. This is for me vulnerability at this the best thing you can do with your life.
Be vulnerable. And sometimes the imposter syndrome doesn't let us be courageous, right? Sometimes whenever we deal with imposter syndrome, whenever we don't think we are valuable enough, like maybe we don't have the talent enough, we are experiencing self-doubt. So this entire, like, all this is kind of like together with like fear of rejection. It's like, because you think they're going to reject you, and because you always want to be loved and accepted, so that goes against us going outside of our comfort zone and following a project or following a dream, because you're afraid to for people to say, oh, what are you talking about, and reject you. But if we get used to feeling rejected, then we will continue to practice courage, our vulnerability, and our authenticity. Because, like these three things, the imposter syndrome, the fear of rejection, sometimes it stopped us from moving forward. And we're running out of time. We have like 3 minutes, but I know I mentioned that we were going to cover imposter syndrome, and this ties up to it.
Yes, this is imposter syndrome is nothing else than self-doubt and lack of confidence. And if you have lack of confidence and self-doubt, it means that you think you are not good enough. And we are back in the in the feeling of worthiness.
We're
And you
back to
have
the cycle.
worthiness if you are not authentic, if you, yeah. And the thing is with rejection, if you are authentic and vulnerable, you don't really experience a real rejection. If there are people they are not okay with you, it's okay. They are not the part of your life, and they don't need to. You don't need to have 7 billion of people in your network on your Facebook.
Yes,
It's
or they're or
life
they're
about.
teaching or they're teaching you to go back and value yourself and be like, no, I am a miracle. You might not like me, you might not agree with me. It's okay. But
Yeah,
I know God created me. And then you go back to building your core psychology, like to be stronger and believe in yourself. We have like 1 minute left. Where can we find you? If there's our audience out there that says, I want to know more about Jana, where can they find you? Sorry.
they can find me on LinkedIn as Jana Antoni .coach, or Facebook the same thing, or Instagram the same thing. And my new website is on the way, should be hopefully until the end of this week done, and then would be janaantoni.com. So
Awesome.
thank
I
you.
appreciate you so much being here, sharing your story, sharing your wisdom and your growth. If you guys want to watch the replay, you can find it on my YouTube channel, Paola Guthrie. I hope you guys found a word, a phrase, an aha moment that inspire you, to continue to move forward through any situation that you're dealing with, because it is possible. If you're trapped in the why me, why me, why me, why this, then you're in the why loop and you're asking the wrong question. So you need to learn to ask yourself the right question. So awareness is a gift. Uh, like I said, I am glad you all are here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And this show can also be, sorry, heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please go to the spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you all. Blessings, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.